Let me ask you a real question. Have you ever sat and said to yourself, man, I'm not rich yet. I've been out here hustling forever, but I'm still not rich. Even though you might be doing better than you've ever done in your entire life. Sure, you might not have millions of dollars. You might not have the dream house. You might not have the dream car. But what if I told you that you actually might be richer than you realize? And you might be richer than 80 to 90% of Americans. Today, I want to break down 7 subtle signs that you might be richer than you actually realize. And this might change your whole perspective about money, your life, and the progress that you're making overall. We live in a culture where rich is always defined as what we don't have yet. More money, more stuff, more items, more things. But wealth isn't just your bank account. It's about options. It's about your time. It's about, your family. It's about your energy and your mindset, because a lot of us are walking around each day, talking about, we're not rich and, we're poor and whatever the case may be, when we're overlooking these signs each day that point to us being actually richer than we realize. And I will admit that I am one of those people who sometimes I will say, hey man, I don't have the money, that I want, or, I'm poor, or, I'm not rich, and so forth. Right. And then sometimes my wife will just have to tell me, like, dude, we're doing better than most people, and God's gonna punish you if you keep talking like that. So let's get into this video. And some of these signs that you might hear, they might not be some of the traditional things that you've heard, but they are definitely things that are true nonetheless. So the first sign that you might be richer than you actually realize is that you have all of your bills on auto draft, right? You have your subscriptions, your mortgage payment, your utilities, your car note, everything is on auto pay, because you are so freaking confident that the money is going to be there. You're not worried about there being an overdraft or anything like that, because you know that there's excess money in your checking account that is going to take care of that. You know that you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul to cover any bills. So you are quite comfortable with letting everybody just come in and reach in to your checking account and pull that money out, because you know you're good. You are richer than you actually realize, because not living paycheck to paycheck is a form of wealth. And you may not look great on social media that, man, all of my bills are paid, I never stress about money. That's not going to flash, and pop for anybody on Instagram or anything like that, right? But it is a sign that you are richer than most people, because having that peace of mind of not having to live paycheck to paycheck is a luxury that a lot of people simply do not have. The next sign is that you have choices about how you earn your money. If you can leave a job that you hate, you can leave a job because it has a toxic environment, or you can just leave a job to take some time off because you have some things going on and you got some other stuff that you need to do. That is wealth. Wealth is not always about your income. Wealth is about, sometimes it's your time, it's your energy, who you want to spend that time with, who you want to spend that energy on. That is a sign that you are likely richer than most people will ever realize. If you have options and flexibility and even the ability to pivot careers in the middle of your career, then you are already ahead of the game. So let's move on to the next item on the list, and that is you are not a slave to debt. Sure, you might still be carrying some debt, but it's not that debt that is bad debt. You might have some student loans that you're still carrying, but those student loans help you get a degree that puts you into a field with high paying jobs. Or you may have debt on a rental property that is cash flowing and is appreciating. So I don't want to sit there and say that all debt, is bad and that you're a slave just because you have some sort of debt. But I'm talking about that debt where you're paying 23% interest on it, like credit card debt, or that debt on that super fancy car that you really didn't need, but you bought it because you want to flex for other people who don't really care. And now you have this, gigantic car note with this high interest rate. Not being that slave to debt sets you apart from most people. And that is why it's one of the signs that you are probably richer than most people if you are not carrying a bunch of bad debt, and the debt that you do carry is that good debt that puts you in a positive position. So next up on the list is you have a housekeeper and you have a lawn person. If you have graduated from mowing your own lawn, you have graduated from cleaning your own house, and if you've graduated from folding your own clothes, then you have achieved a form of wealth. And that wealth is time, and time is freedom. People are out here working hard. I mean, you're dealing with your bosses at work, you're dealing with coworkers, you're dealing with kids in the school call. And the last thing that you want to do when you get a free moment on the weekend is have to clean your house, fold a bunch of clothes, wash a bunch of clothes, and then turn around and go do the lawn. Buying back your time allows you to live a richer and fuller life. Even if you're saving 8 hours, right? Let's say you're saving 8 hours a week from having somebody clean your house and then somebody mow the lawn, fold the clothes and all this other stuff, right? Then you are essentially buying 52 vacation days in a year by doing this. And that is amazing. That is time freedom, which means that you are probably wealthier than a lot of people and you just don't realize it. Now, this next item on the list, I say and being funny somewhat, but it is actually a real thing. And that is if you buy all of your tires in fours. I mean, if you're not riding around with four of your tires being different, one is a Michelin, one is a Goodyear, one is a Douglas, one is a Firestone, right? Like they all have like these different name brands and they're all like may pops, right? Meaning that they may pop at any time. And if you are the type of person who can go to the tire store, the tire shop, right, and say, hey, I want 4 new tires, take those old ones off, trash them, whatever you got to do, but I want all 4 new tires. Man, that is richer than you actually realize, because I remember back in the day, having, all of those mixed match tires on my car, and the thought of going in there and having to pay all of that money for 4 tires. But when you've reached that stage to where you can walk into the tire shop and get, 4 name brand tires, all new, then you're richer than you actually realize. Next on the list is you prioritize memories over luxury items, right? So your kids and your family, they like kicking it with you. Your spouse like kicking it with you. Your kids love having you around. Then you are probably richer in the currency that matters the most. You are richer in memories, and those memories are going to last more than any car that you ever could buy, right? Or any boat or any house. And that means that you're probably going to be richer than most people could ever realize. Because the truth is, some people who chase money and, they just believe that money is the only form of wealth, man, they probably are, neglecting the kids, neglecting their spouse sometimes. And, kids might grow up and think, man, daddy's just an ATM. He don't want to spend any time with me. So I don't really care about him in that form. So, as long as he gives me money and that's it. That's all I need from him. But they don't really care about you or want to spend any time with you. So you don't have all of these positive memories to carry with you, when you get older, and all you have is just, the stuff that you bought along the way. And the final item on the list is if you can invest $1,000 a month, man, you are richer than most people will ever realize, because this is a big one for other people. Because not only is it the fact that you are able to save $1,000, it's the fact of what this $1,000 can actually do for you. Because if you saved $1,000 a month, and let's say you did that for 25 years, you just set it up on autopilot, right? After 25 years, you would actually have $1 million if you just averaged a 8% annual return. And think about this. Let's say you goof off the first 40 years of your life, right? And you started at zero at age 40. You could still save $1,000 a month, and in 25 years you reach normal retirement age, and with an 8% annual return you could have $1 million. You couple that with Social Security and you've still been able to carve out a very decent retirement. So man, you are now looking at something that's totally different than most other people will. And it shows that you are now thinking with foresight. You're thinking with, asset accumulation in mind. You're thinking with wealth building in mind. And that is a rich mindset, right? And that is a mindset that most people will never reach. They'll never obtain. They will spend the rest of their lives either in the wasteful stage, when they were in their youth, and they'll be in the wasteful stage when they're older because they never learn. So here's the truth that a lot of us don't want to talk about, man. Being rich is not just about your income. And there's more than one way to be rich. You can be rich in time. You can be rich in memories. You can be rich in so many other ways than just having a fat bank account. And a lot of people need to Think about that, because a lot of times we just simply think and compare ourselves to other people who have more, and then we just end up letting that steal our joy. And like I always say, comparison is the thief of joy. So don't let that be you. That is all I have for you in this video. If you took something of value, please like, share with your friends, your family. And in the meantime, take care of yourself and be safe out here in these social media streets.